Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another session of podcast. I wish and I'm sure you will enjoy listening to the broadcast.
Today we're going to discuss a very important carb, or rather a carb that is very associated with our lives and with our Indian food habits, etc. We're going to talk about rice, and we'll understand from Doctor how rice is important to us, not just in terms of nutrition, but in terms of also how it affects our body, our mind, etc. So what is rice? We associate rice to a very dangerous carb, and when we want to lose weight, the first thing we do is try to cut off rice.
Yeah, hello Vishaka, welcome to this program again. Rice is a grain food. It's supposed to be practiced in our food and nutrition for, we don't know, as old as the human beings, age, that in Asian region, you find rice is the most predominant food as fuel to our body. Out of all the major grains, the paddy holds the hierarchy. And offshoot of paddy is your flat rice, the poha what you make.
Okay.
That's
Aval.
another, aval. That's they sprout the paddy and then they bang it and take the flat rice. So any seed which sprouts, it starts giving the growth of root, right? So all roots of the plant kingdom are calcium based. So rice by itself do not have calcium. When the paddy sprouts, when you take the flat rice out of it, the aval, it becomes the calcium power.
So that's the reason the poha or flat rice is so important to nutrition. There are several, I've read several articles that...
Definitely it has a less of carbo and a much stronger food for the human body.
Okay.
Better than your rice.
Better than normal rice.
Yeah.
So what's the best way to cook rice if we have to have rice? Normally we used to having rice from the cooker, but what is the ideal way to cook rice?
Even if you have to go 100 years back, when there was no fertilizers, then when there was no pesticides, pure natural agriculture was going on. I have seen all these things when I was young in 1964, 65.
Naturally organic.
Yeah. At that time, there was no urea and all that in my mother's village and all. So, I still remember when I was 5-6-year-old boy. Even if we go 100 years back, say we go to 1920. So, every food component produced by the nature has its own toxins of various levels.
Right.
And we are not going to discuss too deep on it. So, how to cook rice is a very important thing people should know. Whenever you cook most of your dishes, almost, you cook it only in an open vessel.
Okay.
It will boil only in an open vessel so that a lot of things goes out.
Right. So releasing the toxins which can be released into the air.
Yeah. If you're going to cook in earthen pot, we're going to discuss a separate episode in our greatest Tamil science. What exactly is earthen pot? How exactly it benefits us? That's a different issue altogether. We're going to discuss about it to the benefit of the listeners later. But rice has to be cooked in open vessel with excess water, which is very important, and then drain the excess water.
Okay.
That excess water also releases all the toxins.
Okay.
One is open cooking, one is draining the excess water. Excess water becomes a rice concoction, a rice kanji. You can drink that. It's a food by itself.
Right, yeah.
The first thing that what you're doing is you're releasing good amount of starch by cooking it with extra water and draining them off.
So the excess starch, which is maybe additional and not required, is being drained out or being.
Yeah. Whereas when you do it in cooker, you don't. One, you have closed it.
Right. Added pressure.
If you say that you're going to save gas,
Right.
very sorry. You are only inviting trouble for yourself by saving gas, your cooking gas, LPG. They say, who will cook in an open vessel? It will take a long time. If I put it in cooker, 10 minutes, my job is over. If I'm going to do it in open vessel, it is going to take 25-30 minutes.
Right.
That's not the right thing. One is you have closed it. Second, you have kept all the starch inside. So you're not, the subject of toxicology doesn't work there.
Okay.
Why rice has been especially cooked with open vessel is a reason for it. Draining of the excess water, there's a reason for it.
Right.
If you use neem as a firewood, suppose, I'm just telling you this for information. Please don't turn around and ask me that how many households can do it. Not possible in urban society. If you use neem as a firewood and cook rice, it becomes a medicine by itself. Yeah. You will live a very healthy life.
So the quality, I mean, we'd love to discuss it a little more in some episode, but the quality of fire itself changes the nature of the food.
100% yes. 100% yes. Every flame is not the same. How can every flame be the same? Because every component is different. An LPG is a liquid petroleum gas. It burns blue.
Burns blue, yeah.
You are supposed to cook your food in yellow flame.
Okay.
But yellow smoke should not come. Yellow flame is what is required. When you cook your food with firewood, I'm telling you this scientifically, with respect to modern science.
Right.
People say that, firing firewoods and cooking, which is going to contaminate our atmosphere
Pollution.
by releasing excess amount of carbon or CO2 and all that stuff. No. There's the component which goes called aerosol. Aerosol is one which goes to the atmosphere, gives you quite a brilliant shield from excess heat coming from the sun.
Okay.
You can go and study this in the research works of a scientist called Guy McPherson, who's an American, who doesn't believe in global warming, who believes in natural phenomenon, what is happening. So he will tell you what is aerosol. So I'm not asking you to go back to the ancient system. If you can do it, if you have an independent house, if you are ready to cook your food that way, you're going to benefit yourself. It's not for me. So rice is something which has to be cooked in open vessel. For heaven's sake, you avoid. Everybody who eats cooker rice, they all get into joint pains after the age of 35-40. Today, arthritis is very much hit the humanity. It's because of your cooking. If you want to cook your dal and boil vegetables and all that, they also have to be cooked in open vessel.
Open vessel.
Yeah. Cooker is not the right kind of equipment. The consumerism and commercialism, the business concepts, they have big factories and they produce millions of cookers of various sizes, and they do it now. Electrical cookers have come.
Yeah.
You just switch it on and go. By the time you come back home in the night, your rice is still hot.
Right.
That's nonsense. You're supposed to cook when you're going to eat.
Yeah.
Okay? You are not going to cook and cook early in the morning and forget it for you to come back in the night, no work for you. No. It's not correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So getting back, there is in Tamil Nadu especially, there's a system or a tradition of keeping the rice soaked in water overnight with a little salt. And it's supposed to be highly medicinal and beneficial for the body if you can.
Yeah, now it's been researched. Paresoru, whatever that. When
Paresoru,
we cook some amount of rice, the balanced rice, always in villages, if you see, they always cook. Even if we know that today if I'm going to cook 500 grams of rice is enough, they cook 1 kilo. They always cook extra. Why? Because you never know, some beggar may come, some guest may come, some neighbor may come and ask for, do you have a little bit of cooked rice? So they always have excess rice. So what they do if nobody is coming, they put that, put water and put salt and leave it aside.
Okay. In an earthen vessel, I think traditionally it's kept.
No, in metal cooking there is always a problem. There is something called migration of migration mechanism. If you store anything in plastics within 24 hours, there are certain molecular values which migrate from plastic into the stored material,
into the food,
whether it is liquid or powder or whatever. Likewise, when you use metal vessels, there is migration process happens. It contaminates. The best of this paresoru, which is cooked rice soaked in water and salt overnight, is that rice should have been cooked in earthen pot.
Okay.
And it should remain in earthen pot, and there you pour the water and put salt. It develops a lot of nutrition. This you can go to the net now. The modern science, the Westerners have researched this, and they have found how much of excess iron and all the other nutrients are getting developed. It is good. It is really good. People eat that in the morning with buttermilk and some dry fish or pickle or green chilies and raw onions and things like that. People would love to eat that more than your idlis and dosas in village side. Yeah,
in the villages it's quite common.
It stays quite longer in your stomach. You don't feel hungry very fast. Yeah, eating that.
And also I think the energy released is much higher and people are able to work until their lunchtime.
The acceptance is very high. Whatever food that you eat, there is something called acceptance by the human body. That becomes very high.
Okay.
Yeah. Not that all the food which you eat are, homogeneously accepted.
Equally accepted.
No. It is not. There are many things which are not accepted by the body when you eat. Because they also know what is coming in. They are not fools. You cannot cheat them. They know. They don't process many of the food which they don't accept. Yes.
So going back to rice, rice is called a medicine. I mean, traditionally rice is a medicine, or it's medicinal for the body. Can you elaborate a little bit of, how is rice a medicine for the body?
Rice cannot, you can say, for example, rice becomes medicine. Say, if you have a neem wood, which is a neem tree which is more than 60 years old, and you have that firewood, and if you cook rice in that with an earthen pot and eat it on a plantain leaf twice a day, you should eat that rice very hot as soon as it's cooked on the plantain leaf. There are 38 different types of, I'm just telling you this for example, psoriasis in pathological classification of the ancient science. You make your vegetables and your gravies and all that in anything you want. This rice alone, you cook it with the neem wood, which is 60-year-old, and then earthen pot. Don't use an earthen pot more than 20 days. There's a calculation to it, 21 days maximum. Come out with a new earthen pot. You practice it for 3 months. You will become glittery. Even any levels of psoriasis will disappear. You don't need anything else. The next 3 months, that is 6 months, the first 3 months, the next 3 months, 4th, 5th and 6th month, you start shining. Your skin will be something phenomenal. You know, we are all generations. If you take the Asian subcontinent, rice is the major carbohydrate produced.
Yeah.
We have four. I've explained in the previous this thing: wheat, rice, milk, and sugar.
Sugar.
So wheat is almost 700 to 750 million metric ton is produced. Rice is around 490 to 500 million metric ton. Milk is around 600 million metric ton, and your sugar is around 180 to 190 million metric ton of per annum by the world population. Yeah. So whereas if you take Europe, northern part of America, Canada, southern part of Latin America, all these areas, you know, cold countries like Russia and all these places where we don't need enough sunlight to grow rice.
Okay.
They all grow oats.
Oats.
Yeah. Oats. So oats is also around close to 200 to 210 million metric ton of oats is produced by all these cold areas. That is called pullarisi in Tamil. So, which is not our food.
Which is not our food.
Yeah, we are used to, South Indians are used to rice. Today you have elaborate transport network, which every food grow everywhere is available everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
You want a kiwi food, New Zealand, you can just walk 10 meters and buy it.
Right.
Okay. So you have all the fruits, all the grains, all the veggies, everything is available from everywhere.
Everything is available.
Yeah. So I've recently seen, I've heard there's something called white beans, which grows in Chile in South America.
Lima
it's supposed to be very tasty and very lovely to eat. My American friends used to tell me. So they get transported from Chile to America. So only in certain provinces of South America and in the lower part of Latin America it's grown. So yesterday I saw news that Russians have come out with a jet which for the first time which can fly 27 times faster than sound.
27 times
Faster than sound, yeah.
Oh, okay.
27 Mach, yeah.
So you can
So
get
I
the
think we
beans
should
within
get
an
the
hour.
white beans into Chennai very fast.
I'm sure so if we scout
Yeah.
around, we will get them.
Yeah, when I saw that news, I thought, okay, I'm going to get my white beans here.
Okay, sir. And, we have different types of rice. Apart from the different categories of rice like basmati or sona masuri, we also have the new rice, the old rice, boiled rice, raw rice. If you can tell us the difference between all
Nothing.
these,
It is,
what's
you know,
good?
when the rice is harvested, when the paddy is harvested, you know, it will have a lot of moisture. So they dry it nicely in the sun for a few days. It becomes crisp. If you are going to just go to the rice mill and remove it, remove the shell, take the grain out, it is called the raw rice.
Okay.
The same thing, the paddy is, you know, boiled in water for some period of time and then dried and then goes,
the husk is
removed. It's called the boiled rice. Boiled rice is always better.
Always better.
Yeah. There are one more thing is what is new rice and what is old rice is. The moment the rice is ready, they don't use. I have harvested in Magaram, that is the month of January, February. There are three categories, periods of cultivation. One is from July, August to January. It's a 5.5 months period it takes to grow and yield. It's a longer one.
Longer period.
Yeah. February, March, April, a short 75 days crop is there. 2.5 months. May, June, July, again 2.5 months
Short
crop
crop.
is there. 3 times they grow. These shorter versions, they are not healthy. They are more commercial.
Ah, okay.
The longer version is supposed to be very good.
And how would
Those days they never used to grow this shorter version at all.
they were two
They used to
crops
do it only once.
once? Okay.
Balance time they use ragi, they grow, and they grow chilies
Vegetables.
during December, January and all. Different types of this thing will come. Only again they will, only one season in a year it is grown. So this is raw rice and boiled rice. New rice and old rice is, suppose January, February they harvest the rice and then they make the boiled rice out of it after drying it in the sun. They store it, they don't cook it.
Okay.
for minimum 6 to 8 months.
Ah.
Then only they use. Otherwise, when you cook rice, it will all become like a halwa.
Sticky.
Yeah.
So the amount of starch is much higher in the new rice. Is it?
The polymerization is not, the construction is still loose. So you don't get the right boiled rice, in the sense when you cook them with excess water,
Okay.
they lose the shape.
Okay. The
Yeah.
grains are not firm.
Yeah, yeah. And they also say that it is not good for your body. So they keep பழைய அரிசின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க தமிழ்ல. So they keep it for a period of 6 to 8 months, 1 year, and start using the rice.
So
They make out by seeing the color.
by seeing the color.
Yeah.
So the newer rice is whiter or more brown?
It will be more dull in color.
More dull in color.
Yeah. It will be more dull in color.
So what, from what you are saying, and you said rice is right at the top of the hierarchy in terms of food carbohydrates that we have. I'm inferring from that is rice is the best carbohydrate or the best grain to have. Am I right?
Yeah, rice is something which those who have grown in the Asiatic part, the human population in the Asian region, definitely rice is your best food.
It's the best food.
No doubt whatsoever. It is the best carbohydrate. Absolutely regarded. Absolutely been given importance by the ancient science. It is impossible for you to live without rice. And in the hierarchy, as you said, out of the grain food, number one, rice, paddy is the best.
It's the best.
In terms of everything, however you calculate, whatever scientific methodology you're going to bring in and try to fit in, rice will fit in.
Great. One last thing, sir. Rice, of course, being the best carbohydrate or best grain, but I'm sure we contaminate it with fertilizers, with pesticides, with and what are the medicines that we use for growth, etc. So what is the effect of all of these on rice, and how do we? Is there a way that we can remove these? For example, you spoke about the toxins. By boiling rice in an open vessel, there are certain toxins we release into the air.
This is.
What about the contamination due to this?
This is very important. This is very, very important to understand. So the petroleum industry was rapidly growing after the Second World War. So there were too much of crude were processed. So if you see every crude processing factory, refineries, you get these fertilizer units next to it. So they draw the ammonium there, and these ureas were produced, and so many other. All those things, if you take, for example, India, it started, urea came first from Japan to India. In Tamil Nadu only, in Kadalur port. Till then, no urea was there.
This is 1960s, right?
1960, the year 1960. So what happened was, it has come and slowly picked up, and the population was also growing, so they want agricultural revolution. They started using this extensively because they could see the increase in yield. So we were deceived on that. And in the next 15 years, by 1975, we have lost the potency of our soil to a large extent. So the plant kingdom has lost its vigor with respect to agricultural plant kingdom. What is the vigor of a plant, when there are pests getting developed around it? All the pests and insects and all, they go by smells, which is called the pheromones. So the plant kingdom knows they are also living things. They create certain smell, though that the pest doesn't come near it. That is the vigor of a plant. They know how to protect themselves. So that vigor is gone. So from mid-70s onwards, a lot of pests started attacking our plantations. And then all the top companies, I don't want to name them, have come from the other parts of the world. It was a big business avenue for them. they started selling pesticides.
Pesticides.
So they started spraying these pesticides. So what they did is they could protect the plant kingdom from the pest attacking, but then one is they were contaminating our yield. One. Second is we have killed all the good pests which can help our agriculture.
Right.
They could never wipe out the pest which can destroy the plant kingdom, but whereas they could destroy the good ones in total. So this is further damaged your soil in a great manner. Now today your soil has completely lost the microorganisms. By 1990, it was all chaotic. So from 1990 onwards, what has happened is without fertilizers, we cannot grow agriculture.
Cannot able to.
No. So we are stuck. So today at the moment nearly about some people say 12, some people say 18, some people say 24. So even if you take halfway mark 12% of the Indian land is literally gone out of agriculture.
That's a huge problem.
Even with urea it cannot yield anything.
It cannot yield anything.
This is one. Second is 70 to 120 feet from the soil layer, 70 to 120 feet below, all the microorganisms were wiped.
My God.
So your soil today is dead.
Dead soil.
Yeah,
That's
completely dead.
You have to keep putting additional nutrients externally as it's more dead.
If you take every country in the world, they have an agricultural ministry, they have agricultural research centers, they have agricultural setups, they have innumerable number of people study basic engineering from agriculture and work as agricultural officers. You have big agricultural research foundations by private enterprises. Corporates also do have agricultural divisions. All of them put together and the huge modern scientific community have destroyed
together
the entire globe.
I think when we didn't have all of this, we had a better system. Let nature do its own job.
So now what happens? Now we'll come to rice.
Rice, yeah.
I want you to understand this basic. The excess nitrogen and potassium found in rice, because of these fertilizers, they are artificial nitrogen and potassium, which is much higher in your grain.
Okay.
Is spoiling your health. One of the nitrogen ion has to get into your hemoglobin. It becomes methemoglobin. It loses its capacity to absorb oxygen and deliver.
Right.
You're gone. This is where we are getting affected now. That is why there's so much of rise in the problem of diabetes in rice eating countries, more than the wheat eating country. Wheat is also the same. We're going to discuss about it in the next program. Okay? Hyperthyroidism, problems with autonomous nervous system, diabetes mellitus, all are because of your predominant grain food, which is the carbohydrate fuel for your entire system, is being completely contaminated. On top of it, what we guys do, we hold on to these toxins by cooking them in the cooker. At least if you can, make the, pH, the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon to go out by boiling it in the open vessel and then, drain the excess water.
Right.
At least you can definitely reduce around 75 to 90% of the toxins of the rice. They cheated you by telling you, if you're going to leave the excess water from the rice, you're leaving all the nutrients. What nutrient it has? It's a linear chain of glucose. It has got nothing else.
Right.
It is amylose and amylose-pectin standard of linear chain of glucose. There are certain other ingredients, nutrient values are there from all your vegetables and other components which we are going to use to support your system to eat rice, your gravies and other things. But what about The rice by itself is a linear chain of glucose, is energy fuel as a carbohydrate for your cell, is completely been contaminated chemically because of the chemical fertilizers and your modern revolution and your modern science contribution to it. You have made the entire humanity sickly.
So for rice, at least the solution to that is cooking it in an open vessel.
Most of your medicines doesn't work today present scenario. You know why? Because we have more poison here in our body. So that's why the dosage is increasing and going.
Dosage is higher, yeah.
Yeah. A previous 200 mg or 100 mg of paracetamol doesn't work now.
Yeah.
They have gone up to 650.
650, yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Why? Because of that, there is so much of contamination is getting built in you because of constantly eating this chemical contaminated food with respect to rice or wheat or whatever you call it. The olden day dosage is not enough now. That with this you can understand
Yeah.
where we are placed ourselves.
We're losing our sensitivity to
Yeah.
medicine.
But wonderful rice, there is no other grain which can equate rice. Rice is phenomenal.
Okay.
There is no doubt whatsoever. There is not the design of idli. It's number one best food in the world, accepted by the entire world population.
Yeah.
You soak the rice, grind it. You soak the ulur dal, grind it. Mix them in a proportion, ferment it. It becomes a probiotic.
It is a probiotic.
Yeah. It's a phenomenal food.
Okay.
You cannot make idli out of wheat.
Yes.
You can
It
if
does
you
not
want
ferment
to.
it probably. in
Because it
that
has
way.
gluten.
It has gluten, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is where rice is placed at the moment in the present
Thank you.
scenario.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, fine.
It's absolutely enlightening. Do not fear rice. It's the best food that you can have. Had in the right way, it will only benefit your health. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vishal.
Thank you very much for spending your quality time. Thank you very much for your attention. I wish you enjoyed this session. See you later.